What happens if you push it off a table? Or maybe roll it down a hill? What's up, Internet? Before we start off, everybody that's been affected by the hurricanes and the storms that have come through, I want to tell you that our heart is with you. We hope that you can recover somewhat quickly. I know it's been difficult and it's been hard, and I can't even imagine how it would be to see what you have seen. But I know from what I've heard, from what I've seen, from the emails I've got from some of you, that you're strong and that you will persevere. But I just want to take a moment to tell you that our heart goes out to you. So with that being said, and this is a video that I was going to make for a while now, we're going to go over solar, batteries, power boxes. When I first started out, I started with an Allpowers, a little guy, and it worked pretty good. It just wasn't big enough. Now, I do want to say I have heard multiple complaints about Allpowers, that they break, they're not any good. I never had a problem with mine, but I'm also going to say that I have seen Jackeries, Bluettis, Ecoflows. I've seen them all fail. It's electrical. It can fail. It can go bad. It's just part of it. Now, what I've been told from friends of mine down south is what was happening was people were running their generators, and at night, people would come and steal the generator. It's pretty easy to hear a generator. So this is a power bank that I built. It's in a rigid box. It's got a 100 amp hour battery. It's got a 1000 watt go-wise inverter, 2000 watts peak. I have all the hookups, lights, everything. And every time the power goes out, this is what I use. It'll run a refrigerator for around 10 hours-ish, give or take. So there is good reason to have these style boxes and the Bluettis and Ecoflows and Jackeries and all the rest of them that make them. There is a good reason to have these. They're quiet. Generators definitely have their place. But a generator, this. So the few guys that are down in Florida that I built one of these for, what they did is they ran their generator during the day, and at night they ran this just to be quiet. They didn't have any problems. They're all doing good, and I know they're watching. But when you build something like this, you have to be able to charge it. Now, of course, you can get a charger you can plug into a wall, but obviously if the power is out, you'll have to use your generator that will come in daytime, or you can use a solar panel. Now, this is a foldable solar panel. They say it's 100 watts. It's not 100 watts. It's not even close to that. A lot of these, and I'm not going to say that this in general, this one actually does pretty good, but some of these are absolute junk. They don't produce a quarter of the power that they claim that they produce. Now, this panel over here, this is what you would think most people would think of when they see a panel. This one's from Harbor Freight. Now, the reason I got this panel is actually to charge this box. I have it laying around. It's just how I do it. Now, this comes close to actually hitting its number, believe it or not. Now, in the van, I'm not quite sure. I want to run 400 watts of solar. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it just yet. I know I can fit 400 watts of solar. I'm just not sure if I want to go with a single panel or a double panel. And that leads me to this right here. Now, I'm sure, unless you're living under a rock, that you have heard of Wattcycle. They have so many videos out, basically about capacity tests. You name it, they got it. There is, if you do one quick search, there's a ton of guys that have shown capacity tests on these. It does have cold temperature cutoffs down below 0. It will shut itself off so that it doesn't hurt the lithium cells inside. But those channels are definitely needed to show capacity tests. But what I'm more worried about is what I'm going to do with it. I plan to run 400 amp hours or maybe 600 amp hours in the van. The reason that I have this battery is when I talked to Wattcycle, they said that they tested this battery for shock. No offense to those other channels. The channels that test the batteries are 100% needed, but for what I'm doing, the shock part is more important to me than anything, and I'll tell you why. This battery right here, I had in my F250. Now, it was strapped down, and it did work. But the problem was, out of nowhere, I was going over, I forgot where I was when I was doing it, but I was going over some big hills, and all of a sudden I started hearing clunking. And I didn't know what it was. I was looking everywhere, couldn't find anything. So then I kept going, and we were going up a rock side, and again, I heard clunking. So what happened was The internal of this broke away, which is the pack, the lithium pack that's inside of it. It broke away from its mount and started rattling around inside the case. Now, this is a metal case, nothing happened, thank God. It's not an entire loss because I used the pack out of this and put it into this, and that's where the 100 amp hour battery. Now, this company is out of business now. I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think it just had to do with the times and they got out of business. So that is why I am more worried about shock more than anything about this battery. Because what happens if you push it off a table or maybe roll it down a hill? So, yes, you did just see me throw. Yes, you did just see me throw a 200 amp hour battery down a hill. And yes, it still works. Before any of you ask if it does or doesn't. See? All right. Now I care more about that. This was unbelievably scary when this happened, bouncing around in a metal case battery. Now they also have the 300 amp hour, which is why I said maybe the 600. At the time when I was looking at these, they didn't have anything in stock of the 300. Now some of you are going to be like, geez, 400 amp hours, 600 amp hours. I have never heard anybody that said, man, I just wish I had less power. My plan, and I'm not sure what inverter I'm going to use. The GoWise has been a great inverter so far, but I want to use an inverter charger, probably 2,000 watts-ish. I've been looking at a few of them. Plus, I plan to mount a refrigerator in the middle of the seats in the back. The build out on this will be down the road. You guys know that. I know you guys are chomping at the bit to see what I do to this thing. You're going to like it, I promise. But back to this. Even if you are I don't want to say prepper, but I can say prepper actually, you're going to want to know if something can take abuse. Yeah, they're great when they're sitting at your house, but you might have to move some of this stuff. And if it can't take abuse, you may have problems. And you're definitely going to want to have power. Or the hurricanes, the storms, and everything that have been rolling through, if you can't rely on it, then what's the point of having it? Period, point blank. Now, I know this isn't your standard lithium battery power pack deal. Personally, myself and a lot of my viewers, they care more about what things can take. That goes for camping equipment, this equipment, what can it take? I plan to beat on this truck very hard and break a lot of stuff. But one thing I don't want to have a problem with is my power setup, because I usually go with a group. Sometimes I go by myself, but when I go with a group, most of them try to use this as of now because this isn't done, but they all use power. So that's why I'm going so big with this van, because if I'm in a group, they all can plug in and everything will be good. Whatever setup that I do run in this, and whatever solar panels I use, whatever amount of batteries I use, whatever, you guys will see. Obviously, when this is done, we're going to take a lot more adventure style camping. I'm going to bring you guys with, and we're going to see what this can do. This is my, I think, 10th or 11th one that I've owned of these, and this one I'm going all out on. I hope this gave you something to think about. There are so many decisions out there that it can get unbelievably confusing. So far, this and all of this have been working amazing. You saw it fly down a hill. You saw it fall off a table. This thing's been kicked around, beat around. This is, you get the point. No matter what you want to do, consider how strong, how durable is always going to be a consideration, because usually when something bad happens beforehand to make the whole situation worse. The links to the links to the stuff that have links that I didn't build will be in the description. We do not take affiliates, not even with sponsors. There is no link that we take an affiliate from. We believe every sale should be between the customer and the company, which is why we can say, buy it, don't buy it, doesn't matter to us, and you all have a good one.
I'm your huckleberry.